Hi, welcome back. It's part 4. Right, I've been messing around here a little bit, but I haven't done too much. All I've done is, let me get rid of that. I've set this back. I made it a bit lighter, you may remember. I've just put it back to where it was because I want to do some things to this first. I'm going to try to get this finished on this session. I hope so. It's been going on forever, and then I'll actually post this in MeWe as a component, as a part. You can use it, you can have a look at it, do whatever you like with it, throw it away if you want. What I'll also do some curved text in a minute. I can't use it on this. Problem being, I can here, that's fine, but on this outer case here, I can't do an exact match of this font. Actually, I can't even get close. And the problem is with curved text, you can use standard fonts, you can curve it. It in itself is a bit strange, and I'll show you how I do that normally, but some fonts seem to accept curving better than others. I don't really know why it does it, but some it's quite acceptable. So what I have to do on this one is I've matched this as close as I can to these fonts, which is this other file here. All I've done is created another 2K platform. That's the fonts. I do this really for my own interest or my own reference. I can remember what they are and the size of the font. You can see they're slightly different, but what I've done is I just dropped them on here, 0 to 9, a few other pieces I need. Sorry, I'll mark that there so the mouse follows. I've added these, but I've actually modified it, which is what I do to try to get this as close as I can. You see that 4? Well, that doesn't really exist in any font that I can find. The 7 is quite different. I've modified that. Oh, and the 1 is quite different to the one that is, what is it, a Sony Sketch. 1 is quite different. And same with even this. This is Europe XT Bold. Not sure what the XT represents. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's quite rounded. Well, once again, it doesn't exist as a standard font. If you curve text, you're going to end up with whatever text you start off with. So based on that, I will just show you. So all I've actually done, yes, drop those on there. I save this. I call it the untitled file. Doesn't matter. I've got one of these for every build I do. I keep most of the fonts and most of the text and sometimes some of the logos here. And then all I do basically is, I'll just Control C. I'll copy that. Come back here. Drop it, Control V, and then move it around, which I'll do shortly. But just to show you how curved text works, because it's the weirdest thing to do on here. And I did find it under, I was looking on the last one, it's under Tools, there it is there. And it is just T, the command. See, it brings that up, but it won't actually bring anything up till you push T and then left mouse click. Now if I do, I won't use air conditioning because that's a really odd font. Something very standard. Should have looked at this before. You can see I've got just a few there. That one there will do. We'll do, what is curved here? Normal. Okay. Hit caps. N-O-R-M-A-L. Normal. Now you can, you can change the color here, make that white. In this case it's really black. Yeah, it'll turn out, it'll show, oops, it's not there, sorry, wasn't even looking what I was doing. That'll actually change that. As I showed you the other day, you can increase it, decrease it, which you can actually also do with these. But once again, you can't do this for curved text because it will only accept the standard font. But you can change the scale like so. You can even, this one here is a shear. You can, if you want a font that lays one way or the other, that's the easiest way to do it. If it's not available, quite often it's not. This one you can change the perspective. I actually use this quite a bit, and you probably have never noticed in the detail, but quite often if I'm doing something, sometimes like a bezel or an inlay in here, that's almost an example of it there, where it's slightly, you want to show some depth. Well, if you look on any watch, on any image, it narrows narrows down as it goes down. It's wider at the top than it is at the bottom, and that's kind of an example of it there. Not a great one. It gives you a perspective of depth, and this is where you can start doing that. You go like so, that's exactly what it does. So it's quite, I find the text on this quite interesting, and fonts. I have a fascination with fonts at the best of times. So I want to curve that, right? So all I do, there's the font there. This is this one up here that I use, which is called paths. So let's say I'm going to draw a circle from the center. I won't spend a lot of time on this because I'm not actually using it. And you pick a point, and it gets a bit tricky. We'll say that point there. What I'm going to do is move this down. Now I added that there to mess around with font size, but these are markers. You can they're guides. You can, same as the central ones I put in, but you can do these manually. I have these dozens of these all over the screen, and all you do to get them is move up above this point, left mouse click, sorry, in that point there, in between in there, and then drag it down. I can get rid of that one, and same over here. You can pull them in from this side. So if you want to mark a particular point, that's why I use them. And you can always remove them. If you go back into layer, guides, there's remove all guides. So that'll remove all of them, then you can just put the center one back in if you want, which I quite often do. But all I've done is I've marked that point there. So if I come back over here, hit that thing, I always think it looks like a football. It selects the path, and you'll see this will come up. I highlight that. As you notice, it's just been highlighted there. Come back here, highlight or make the text that I've done the active layer, and you'll see if that's right click on that, text along path. And what that'll do, that's it there. Looks a bit odd at the moment, but I'll get to that in a second. But the problem is that will be if I then, oops, can't do that just yet. That's not going to work. But if you can picture that, I have to rotate that around. It's going to be, oh, it is upside down here anyway, so that will work. That's fine. But I can actually see what I forgot to do is try to space this out to get it somewhere near it. The font's wrong, everything's wrong, so just undo that. Come back here, delete that, come back to your main page, go in here, whoops, highlight the text, T, go into the middle. I'll have to extend this, but let me just, we'll assume the height's right, even though it's not. A to B, we can drag it out like so, something like that. Purely an exercise. So then, yeah, hit the football. I don't know actually what that symbol is. I don't even know what it's supposed to be. But anyway, then we come back here, right click on that, text along path, puts that there. What you can do, and this is where it, if you want to invert this, so when you rotate it around here, it's the correct way up, you can, let me undo that, you can come over here to this one, which is, what do they call it, flip tool. Highlight that one, vertical, click, whoops, just click off that, and then click on it. And then if you do text along path, see it's down here. You can set it up, down, left, right, and you can actually reverse it as well by playing around with these here. Quite simple. So come back here, we'll undo that, we'll come back. So we'll come back to where I spaced that out. It's just easier. Go back to text. Take it out to, I don't know. And by the way, if you do that, if you actually you can move this around. All you do, left mouse button, put it back where you want it, wait for that to turn blue, and just let go. Happens all the time. Yeah, if you hit the wrong thing somewhere, because you can actually take it and move it around. That's the whole point. Except when you do that. Sorry, just getting that back. You didn't need to see me messing around with that. Oh, for Pete's sake. See, that's what happens when you're not watching what you're doing. So click on that. Adjust that out to, I don't know. That'll do. That'll do. Come back here. Do that. Highlight that. Come back here. text along path. You can see, if you picture that in your mind, when I rotate that round, it'll be correct. It's nowhere near high enough. It needs to be closer to the edge. So we'll undo that, come back here. This is where this takes just trial and error. Delete the path. So I come back here, click on that. I'll assume it's probably, maybe come down a little bit more, about there. I just mark this so I know where I've been. I can go a pixel or two up or down if I have to. Same process. Highlight that. Back here. Left click, right click. Text along path. Near the edge, inside the teeth. It's a little bit too high. I think I can see it's going. Yeah, it'll do for this exercise. You've got it to that point. Now you come back here, and then this one, which is path to selection. And you'll see this becomes highlighted. Uncheck both of those because you just don't need them at this point to be active. Yeah. Hide that, which is all it's doing is hiding that. You can leave it there, it doesn't really matter. But then you've got to add a new layer. And now you can fill these and it'll make this the active layer. We'll say black. Now control left arrow will fill that as black. Just click off it and then that becomes your curved text. Hide that because it doesn't need to be there. Now you can control C, delete it, control V, and then this one here. This is the it shouldn't be shear tool. Oh, I see what I've done, sorry. In amongst me moving things around, always like those 5 all sitting together. Sorry, my fault. That one there, rotation tool. And now you can quite literally just grab this. You can also change the scale there, but you can grab this, move it around. You can see that's so far out there, and then put rotate. And now if you do that, just set it back. Get rid of that, get rid of that. There's your font. Or there's your curved text, more to the point. That's infinitely variable. You can rotate it, do all sorts of things. But what actually happens here, that's where it originally was. If you just move that, sometimes you can actually leave, as in move it around here. This is why I control C, copy it, control V, and sorry, control C, copy, delete, and then control V, put it back in, and then move it. It leaves nothing behind. But if you just move that, you can sometimes see the outline of this in this position, even though you've moved it around here. So it's just a thing I do. You could go back, I suppose, and just erase it afterwards, but I find it just as easy to copy it, delete it, repaste it where it is, and then just rotate it where you want. So that's curved text in a nutshell. But I won't be using that, so ultimately you can almost forget all of that, but now you know. Now what I'm going to do is put this text, this is a long-winded exercise, I've got to do this manually, let me go backwards here because I think, yeah, I think that, no, that can't be right. Anyway, what I will do, it's a matter of working out where I want to place these, so I will make a circle. We'll assume what I'm trying to do is look at a point where the text will sit. It's a little bit off there. Once again, not perfectly central. This image might go up just a little bit higher to about there. I'll mark that point. Don't need that anymore. Now this is where I'll show you how I do a couple of these and then I'll pause it and come back when I've finished. As I said, this is just the sort of level of detail I get into. Now I'm going to copy that, but I will try to get it central and I'll show you why it's in the entire image. Inside that, Control C to copy that. That should be active. Control C. Now I'm going to, I don't need, oops, don't need that, but I will start a new layer. hide that one at the moment. That's the active layer. Zoom in, Control V will place it back. So what I do, I get that, as you can see, on that line. So as I rotate it around, they'll all be on that same radius. I get that in the center because that's the center of the whole thing. Yeah, this is working out. The center, because everything obviously rotates from the center. I will have to align that about there. Another thing I will do, I know I want to do this effect later, so I will colour these. I do them in white, but I know from memory, I think it's 555555. Yes, we can. That's Control left arrow, we'll colour that. Now I want to drop another one there, so I'll go Control V, Control left arrow. I'll colour these on the other page in a minute, but I'll just do that. Zoom out, center. I'm trying to line basically because this is slightly, this image is out of kilter. This is a little bit of a guess. I'm trying to line these base points up about the same. Rotate. Now if I go back, I can copy that one. I know that's, I can't remember how big I did that. We'll just copy that, Control C, come back here, Control V, colour that. Once again, these should drop at that same point. You can see how time consuming this gets. Whether you'll ever do it, I don't know. I'll get that roughly in the center of that, won't be too far off, rotate. So that's basically the start of it. I'll continue this in a minute. But if I get rid of that, that's really what it's going to be looking at now. What I'm actually ultimately going to do is I'll mark all of these out. I will I'll deduct that, if you like, or remove that from this layer here, which will allow me to put this nice little concave on it. And then I'll do what I do on here. So I'll be back in a little while. Just thought I'd come back here. I've got all the outer numbers done. I did find that the font this side is larger than this one, so going back here, I had to copy these, and all I do to do that is Control C, drag it up there, Control V, and all I've done is taken the center out of, what was this top one? I worked out it was about 8, I think. So I deleted that out, and then took what was left of this side. Here, look, I'll show you. It'll be easier than trying to explain it. Let me delete that one out of there. It's the beauty of doing it this way. You can mess about with the fonts as much as you like. So we go Control C, Control V. That just drops it up there. I go up there and draw a box, zoom it in so I can just get this measurement, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Delete that. Copy that. And this is just an interesting point. When you start moving these around, go Control C and then delete it, and Control V. Then move it across, and there you've got it. If you don't do the delete, it will leave an outline, as I said before. Same problem, always happens with fonts. So it's easy to copy it, delete it, repost it, or repaste it. So getting back here, I'll pause this again in a moment, get rid of that there. I've now got to do this ring here, which I'll show you in a moment, but I'll do these, and this is where you can use a measuring tool. Check that box, use info window, and it literally measures. I can see that's about 56 long by about 18 wide. Sorry, back again. Slight emergency averted. Yeah, sorry, where was I? Measuring that. Yes, that would be about 18 by 54. So I've worked out here, same as I did before, this line or this guide marks basically the base of all of these. You can all see they're on the same plane. So if I draw a box, 18s, what's that, 9 either side of centre there, by about 54. Which happens to be about the same as the text, so it's probably not a coincidence. Now that's these, not these small ones, that's these large ones, obviously. Measure that again. I could have just put a guide up the top here. Is that 47? Now I also want to round the corners, check that. I know it's about 6 because it's the same. No, it's a bit squarer than that. Come down a bit to 5, I think. Create a new layer. Once again, this is all on top of this, so that's just the guide. So highlight that layer. Same color. Control left arrow. Now Control C, delete, Control V. I'll just try that, see how it looks. It's not bad. As you can see, I want to rotate that there. And then there's the next one. There's not many of these, so I'll do these. Come back shortly. Back again. I've just put this on so you can see it. So I've added these all the way around. As I said, just rotate it from there. Keep rotating around. Get them, and I just overlay them on top of this. As you can see, it's as close as I can get it. And in all fairness, it's all it needs anymore. On a watch, you'll never see the detail, but that's basically where I've got it to. Now I'm going to have to end this one here. I've just got something I need to do. It's about 20 minutes anyway, so next session I'll finish this thing. So hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.